Welcome back to Arts and Science Camp 2021 Virtual Edition. This is day 2. We will be traveling around the world. Today we are going to explore international diversity. We will be creating a St. Martin's Day lantern. So this holiday is in Germany and it's celebrated in November. So how we are going to create these, you will have your jar in your book bag. You'll need your jar. You'll need some different colored pieces of tissue paper. You'll need your kite paper. You will need your paintbrush, some Modge Podge to glue it on. And I have a ruler here just so that if you wanted to measure to see how big your star would be that we're creating, just depending on how big your jar is. So you will probably, with your jar in your book bag, you'll just need to take your kite paper that you have and cut it into fourths. So you will cut it into fourths so that you will get 4 squares out of each piece of kite paper that you have. And you will need to have 8 pieces cut. So you'll need 8 squares cut so that you can create the star for your lantern. Now, how we create the star, I'm going to show you folding on a bigger piece of paper just so that hopefully you can see the folds just a little bit more clearly. So you will take, this is how to make the star. We're not going to glue it onto the lantern yet. This is just, we're making the pieces so that we can put our star together. So you will take your square, you're going to fold it in half. We're going to need to get some creases in it, in each square. So we'll fold it in half, we'll open it and fold it in half one more time. So that you're going to have a 4 square grid of creases in each square that you fold. You're going to take each corner and you're going to fold it to the very center point that is made in your paper. So we're going to fold in each corner point to the middle. And just make sure that you take your finger and rub it down flat just to give it a good crease and make sure it stays. So each corner folded towards the middle and rub to make it flat and stay with your finger. So you will have something now that looks like this, your square with your corners that are all opening up towards the middle there. You are going to turn your square diamond, kind of like a diamond shape. You're going to take one of the side points and you are going to bring it over. You're going to take the edge down here and line it up with the middle crease line. And then you're going to rub your finger to fold that flat. So you kind of have this. Then you're going to take the other corner and fold it towards the inside. And again, you're going to take this edge right here and line it up with the center line in your paper. This is the back of one of your star points. So this is kind of what it will look like. You'll see your crease, but no open fold pieces of paper. So you're going to want to make sure you fold all 8 pieces of your paper this way. We'll go through it again. So this is one of the actual squares that will be used to make the star. So we will fold it in half, rub it to give it a crease, because those are kind of like the lines that will guide us into how to fold the rest of it. Fold it in half again. And the outside, like your colored side, is going to want to be facing down. So because that will be the front of your star points. So again, we're going to take each corner and fold it into the very center point. And rub your finger along it to give it that crease that flattens it down and makes it stays. So again, you have this with your open flaps. This is the back of your star point, and this is the front side. So again, you're going to take one corner, you're going to fold it to the center and make sure that your outside seam right there lines up with the middle line. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other side corner. Line up that outside seam with the middle line. Now when you get all 8 of your pieces folded for your star, we're going to get ready to glue it together, and we're going to use again these seams as lines that guide us how to line it up and glue it together. So this will be your first point. We'll lay that down. You're going to need your glue. You can use Modge Podge or stick glue for this. I'm going to lay something down underneath it just to kind of protect the surface there. So you can kind of see there's going to kind of be a crease line that'll be coming up from the very bottom point and over there. That little kind of half of a rectangle is what we're going to glue our second point onto. So you can just put glue on that little section there. You will take your second point and you're going to make sure the points line up, and that this edge right here on your other point is going to line up with the middle line in your first point. And it kind of overlaps there. And then you'll do that again. You're going to put your glue on this section of your star point. Then take your next star point and lining up the points and the outside edge with the seam line going up the middle. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. So again, we'll just put some glue right in just that little corner. Line up our point edge with the seam line there in our crease. Put that on. And then these are 3 others, so we're going to get to the point that we're going to have 7 of our 8 points that are already glued down. And we're going to do our last one a little bit differently. All right, so you've got your 7 pieces and you've started with one, and each one is on the top of the other. When you get ready to add your last point, your 8th one, you're going to lift the first one that you have, because we're going to put this back on the very top of it all. So you'll take your glue, and again, you're going to glue just that same little corner there. You'll take your 8th point and put it on there, lining up with the middle point and the outside edge with that seam line. So this is the first point. It's kind of not glued down on anything. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your glue and glue just that last little flap down. Your very first point will be glued down on top of your very last point. So you've got your star that we're going to make for the front of our lantern. So you can set that aside and let that dry, let that have some time. And we're going to get ready to tear our tissue paper that we're going to glue onto the jar. Now you want to tear it and give it kind of just those rough organic edges. You don't really want it to be just straight cut. So we're going to tear just different pieces, some different colors. You can have some larger, some smaller pieces, but just kind of tear them, and different colors that you have. And again, just to try to make sure that you don't have any of those straight edges, even from the edge of the tissue paper. You can just tear that off. Tear your edge. And then get you some other pieces torn. All right, so when we get ready to glue these onto our jar, you're going to just take your paintbrush and your Mod Podge, and you're just going to paint it on your jar. And you're going to start sticking your pieces on there. You can have them overlap a little. I wouldn't have them overlap too much, just so that your lights will still shine through it really good. So you don't want like 6 layers of tissue paper glued all over your jar. But you can kind of create a pattern. You can, with your different colors there, lay them around. However many different colors that you chose to use. We're going to just fill up where you glued all over. All right, and then once you get your tissue paper glued down, you're going to take your Mod Podge and you're just going to brush over right on top of all of that. And it'll just kind of give it that finishing look, especially like when it dries. It won't peel off and come away. It'll just kind of make it more permanent to stay. So you'll keep going and then just add your Mod Podge all around and keep adding your tissue paper pieces. Like I said, you can kind of come up with a kind of color pattern however you want it to do, or if you just kind of want it to be random, you can have it that way too. It can be as planned out or spontaneous as you want it to be. And glue that down. And then again, just take your Mod Podge and paint over it. I think that you will really end up liking this Mod Podge, and you're probably going to want to use it for a ton of other things whenever you create anything. It's so easy to use, and it really does give it a really good finishing look when it dries. So let's see, I'll go with the darker blue again. And this light teal. Keep painting over it. And you can keep adding on. You want to make sure that you get your whole jar covered with the tissue paper pieces. So just cover your whole jar. You can paint it on there, spread it out, and then just keep laying your pieces on till it gets all filled in. And then if you look back at it and you feel like, oh, I've got a little teeny tiny hole right there I want to cover, then you can just tear you a piece off and paint you some Mod Podge on that and fill in any little spot that you want to. So yeah, just keep layering it and make sure you get your whole jar covered again. You really want the whole thing covered. And again, once you get all your tissue paper pieces glued on and covered on your jar, then you're going to go and paint your Mod Podge over on top of all of that. So I have a little small piece there I want to fill in. I'll use some orange to fill in right there. And then you just paint over that. It's just real simple, and like I said, I really think you'll end up liking this a lot. And you might want to make a whole lot of different things with your Mod Podge, your tissue paper, or anytime that you have a jar, like if you eat a jar of pickles and then your jar, once you eat them all, you can save your jar and you can decorate it to use. You can use it as a lantern again, or just something to keep maybe your pencils or pens in. But yeah, the goal here is to get your whole jar filled in. Just as long as you get that filled up so that you don't see any of the clear jar pieces. And then paint all over it again with the Mod Podge. And if you feel like, oh, I may have missed a spot, it's all right. You can paint another layer of the Mod Podge on top of it. So just fill in your whole jar. Once you get your jar covered completely all the way around, then you will take your star that you made, and we're going to do the same thing for it. Now my star is a little bit big for my jar, but I think it still looks good like that. I'll just move it up so that when it does sit down, it's not going to come, whatever surface I sit it on won't bend the star. So you will just, again, take this great Mod Podge, paint a big layer over that, and put your star on it. And then you'll let that dry. And whenever it dries, you can take your lights that you have and fill it with your jar, turn it on, and you have a really neat looking lantern. So these turn out super, super cool. I really think that you'll enjoy this and like it a lot. So I hope that you have enjoyed traveling around the world today, and we will see you next time.